woke up this morning, the sky was gray. Another
Okay, so hello everyone. Before we start with the actual class, we have to go through a little bit of
Housekeeping.
I have housekeeping. I have to get this to move. First of all, this session is being recorded and it will be posted on Discord and possibly YouTube. So if you prefer to stay off camera, feel free to turn off your video and change your screen name if you don't want this to pop up during the recording anywhere. Please mute your microphone unless you're called on to speak so we can avoid background noises. If you have a question or want to contribute to the session, use the raise hand button or just type all your questions, comments in the chat anytime. If your question isn't related to what we are talking about at the moment, we may come back to that later, but we'll take our time to answer the questions. And with this being said,
Stop, don't move. So
don't move. I'm not moving.
Notre session est enregistrée. Ça nous fait plaisir de vous répondre à vos questions en français aussi et en anglais. Dalia va faire le petit spiel aussi en German. We are sorry though we don't have someone who speaks Spanish or Italian, but we have at least 3 languages between the 2 of us. So, durant la classe, si vous avez des questions, levez la main ou posez la question dans le chat. Soyez pas gênés, on est là pour vous répondre. Si les réponses ne sont pas faites pour notre classe durant l'enregistrement, on va répondre à vos questions après l'enregistrement. Donc, on va essayer de faire comme un bon 45 minutes de classe. Et si vous êtes trop gênés, on va arrêter l'enregistrement pour répondre à vos questions dans votre langage si possible. You want to do that in German?
Yes, I can do this. Also bevor wir anfangen, die Klasse wird aufgezeichnet und dann auf YouTube oder Discord gespeichert. Deswegen, wenn ihr nicht aufgezeichnet werden wollt, eure Kamera ausschalten oder euren Namen ändern. Bitte schaltet euer Mikrofon stumm, solange ihr nicht aufgefordert seid zu sprechen, um Hintergrundgeräusche zu minimieren. Und wenn ihr irgendwas beisteuern wollt, könnt ihr die Hand heben mit einem kleinen Handheben-Button unter, ich glaube, Reaktion. Und ihr könnt eure Fragen auch jederzeit in den Chat posten. Genau, Manon hat gerade schön die Hand gehoben. Und ihr könnt eure Fragen dann in den Chat posten und wir kommen dann drauf zurück. So that was the little housekeeping in German.
Next slide.
Next slide. That's a little welcome to, I think today's the deep dive for Sudowrite in non-English languages. My name is Dalia and I've been using Sudowrite now for 2 years to plan, write and revise novels. And I work primarily in German. And my main genres are fantasy, romance and thriller. I'm very excited to host this session alongside Manon, who is a passionate writer and teacher from Canada, and I'm sure she wants to introduce herself to everyone as well.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Dalia. My name is Manon Doucette. I'm a published author. I've been using Sudowrite for so long, I don't even want to tell how many years anymore. I've been I write in both language, French and English. I teach in more language than that because I'm always happy into the international language in Discord to help everyone when possible. So, mon nom, c'est Manon Doucette. J'enseigne dans les 2 langues, l'anglais et le français. Je suis publiée seulement qu'en anglais, mais je travaille sur tous mes livres pour les traduire en français parce que c'est en très grande demande. Je suis avec Sudowrite pour plus que 2 ans. C'est depuis presque le début que Sudowrite est sorti que je suis avec eux. Donc, si vous avez des questions, tout ça, c'est tout. Envoie-nous-les. Et c'est sur Discord que vous allez me trouver le plus facilement en dessous de international. Back to you.
Okay. Ich stelle mich auch noch mal ganz kurz auf Deutsch vor. Ich bin Dalia und ich benutze Sudowrite jetzt seit 2 Jahren. Und ich schreibe hauptsächlich auf Deutsch, aber manchmal auch auf Englisch. Und hauptsächlich Fantasy, Romance und Thriller. And now we will dive into our session.
So that's what I did here. So it says contemporary French with regional, da da da. So, and I got, things are in French. Then I says, okay, maybe we have to tell it to translate in French. I did a translate one, translate. So bring the stuff in and translate it as we go. So write all content in French. That doesn't work either.
Mm.
I tried different ways. It's like some of it is in French. So la traduction hantée. So this one got translate. I don't remember what I did though.
Yeah, for some
Oh,
things,
yeah, I did.
sometimes it's a
What I did is I brought it in, and when I go generate element, I went on the translate. Where is it? And then I enter the world building card in here.
Yeah.
And then the problem is it gives everything in one big card like that. So instead of having the processus, the example, the phenomenon, and the rules and the notes,
Yeah.
everything is in one box.
Yeah.
But
I
you
mean,
don't have,
before we had the import, since I generated a lot of world building stuff outside of Sudowrite, I was just lazy and put everything in one box because I didn't want to manually fill in several boxes, trade boxes within, because it was just too much work. But I really have to play around more with the import function.
we'll go to the class now.
Yeah, we have our one and 10 and present.
So, which language is Stephanie wrote or write in? And you can unmute if you can speak in English, no problem. We are very small family. In the summer, we have very small class.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone is probably outside right now except for the 3 of us. Like we had a really very small class last Sunday because I didn't consider that in the US it's Father's Day. Like here it's just a normal Sunday. And I was like sitting there and why is no one showing up for the story Bible class? I don't know it was right button. Huh? But
I was
just
going to
drop
come, but I was with my dad too.
Yeah.
So I says, oh my God, she's alone. I don't know. Were you alone the whole time or some people showed up?
Some people showed up, but it was like until 1 minute before the hour before I had like the first attendee, and I was like, this never happened before, and at least not in an English language thing.
No,
In German, I sat there sometimes like 5 minutes into the class until someone showed up.
Yeah, sometimes I
But
sit
the chatting
alone
away.
in the French one.
Yeah, the chatting away, Stephanie.
Hey,
Just drop it
Stephanie.
into the chat if you, what language you like to write in.
Is it our Stephanie?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Use your Stephanie. I'm just here to observe.
It's our stuff.
Yeah, that we have that summer, and it seems like that's the first time we have nobody showing up for language, and we have how many people registered for it?
Yeah, it was 12 or something, so it wasn't just like 1 or 2 people registering, which is weird. But as I said, last Sunday, I think I had 50 people who had registered, and in the end, we were like 10. So it's really summer time.
Yeah, 11 total, but where are they?
I was going through the Discord like, is something wrong? Did everything break down? I was checking the news if something had happened that could keep people from showing up. Since you never know with these times.
These times are
But it looks normal.
Looks normal, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, tell us about you, what you're doing these days. How's your thing?
So I am working very hard, of course, as usual. Quite a bit going on just from previous works that I already had in progress.
Mm-hmm.
So a few pre-orders that I'm finalizing, and that's pretty much it. I'm actually already thinking about, I know this is going to sound extremely crazy. I'm actually already thinking about my 2026 publishing schedule because 2025 is pretty much complete. So,
Wow,
Oh,
that's great news.
yes, thank you. But
wow.
yeah, I wanted to join today because I'm always interested in translations. And so I thought, well, you know what, let me just sit in and see um, what's going on, if there have been any updates, if there's anything different, because I know with beats, it was a lot easier to just flat out say, you know, put this output in whatever language, and then perhaps even make that same request
Ah,
in the language as well. But I don't know if anything has really, if it's any different with scenes now that we moved over to scenes, because now instead of the header box per se, we have the additional instructions. So again, I'm not here to look for anything special, just the normal workflow of what it looks like now with the transition from beats to scenes.
okay, that's good thing. And I've seen Abid, we have
Yeah,
you
I'm
here as well. What language are you writing in? I just noticed we haven't kicked off the recording at the official part yet. So we just get this out of the way so that we know what language we're working with today.
Mm-hmm. So Amit, you can unmute or put it in the chat and let us know what language you're writing in. Stephanie, don't go anywhere because we're going to see if we can do something with that, because I know the translation is not the best way to go. That's why we teach people to write in their language to start with. So Amit, are you driving, or let us know if you can type or unmute and talk to us.
Good stuff. Oh, French and Italian. Then I think Manon can cover the French. Sadly, I think no one here can cover the Italian. Hindi. Oh, yeah. That's also interesting.
Cool.
Okay.
Your genre, Amit. Romantic
Oh,
drama.
romantic drama. That sounds good.
Okay. Did you get any kind of good, good prose or anything in Hindi language? Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manon, do you have kicked off the official recording yet?
Yeah, the official recording, and I will just cut it.
Okay.
And paste
Awesome.
this way. So, okay, let's see if we can do something here. I'm going to just have fun with this. You know me, I like to just go in and just see what we can do. I'm going to ask for rewrite, rephrase. And I play with customize this morning, and I'm just curious if it's going to do something for me here. I don't know
I
what
mean,
it says,
looks,
but it looks like to be in Hindi. Let's
yeah,
go
looks
see what it says.
good.
Detect the language. Amid the noise of the train, he asked loudly. And that's Hindi. We got it. All right, so we can get this to work. Let's see. See if we can continue from here. Let's go in the right button. Now, I don't know if Andy's in his car in front of the computer. I just go with the flow right here. Stop me anytime you want.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to test that Hindi language here.
But I think Sonnet is a good model to test this with, since Sonnet writes quite solidly in several languages.
See what it's going to do if we get it to continue writing after this little sentence we got.
Yeah, that's copy 2 words. Did it really say copy 2 words?
It's not finished. It's finished.
That's an example of how not so good Sudowrite is at counting languages, words in languages that are not English.
Can you hear me?
But that's definitely more than 2 words.
Oh yeah. So we have a short story, right? Can you hear me? Her voice slowly faded into the noise of the train. She was standing near the window, a strange expectation in her eyes. I nodded, but perhaps she could see. She could not see. The landscape was changing fast. The bright light of the city were slowly receding, and now windows showed only darkness and the occasional dim light of the small village. Summit? She called again. A summit? No, it's not summit, it's summit.
Is that the name, maybe?
This time coming a little closer. I know you think this is all a mistake, but a word pierced my heart. How many times had we argued about this? How many times had I tried to explain to her that our dreams were in different directions? Rena, I say softly, sometimes love isn't enough. She smiled, but there were tears in her eyes. And sometimes it's just an excuse, isn't it? The train came around a bend and we both swayed a little. Her hands came to rest on mine. And for a moment, we let it stay there. All right. Now you can see how I like to just sometimes take things and play.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get this. I don't know if we should probably put the second line. So we can write in Hindi. What was the language we tried the last time? It seems I have like that kind of, that was Hebrew or something else.
We had Hebrew at some point, but last time it was Persian.
Persian. Oh yeah, that was kind
which
of.
also worked quite well,
So
as far as we can tell. Oh.
Hit love text. Okay, let's see. I'm going to open this. Oh boy. So Amit, what did you send us here? I'm going to copy this and put it in a translator so we can figure out what it is.
Oh, she came.
It's a short story. Okay. I'm going to copy it and put it in so we can all share. So this is a short story that you just wrote. beautiful face of yours over here. And I will put that in the chat so we can. Here you go. So she came with the train. That's funny because both stories talk about train.
I think here's the rain. That's close.
Oh, the
to
rain.
train.
Okay. Sorry, I saw train.
I mean, but sometimes I also get eerily similar results from the AI if I give it the same prompt. So it could have been that it's also something with trains. But Mira never talked.
That seems to be a pretty cool little story.
Yeah.
So what can we do to help you, Amit? Going to give him a chance to put his question in the chat. And at the same time, I'm going to play with something for Stephanie, which is looking about getting things translate. Which is not my favorite things to do. It's not the translation. I want to get just from the.
Oh, you have advice.
Yeah,
nice.
That's one of my persona. The stuff I was trying to show you when we started.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come
That's
in
exciting.
one of our class.
Mm-hmm.
So he left and back. Okay, maybe he's having a bit of problem. Let's see what we can do about the translation of things. You brought me something that I normally stay away from, Stephanie. It's the translation.
Yeah.
That's what we said, always say. But if I was to translate something,
I mean, I can give a little teaser. There's a tool coming that would really help with translations, but I can't show this yet. So sometime in the near future.
It's a tool from Sudowrite or a plugin you made?
Yes. It's anyway, we're a small group and it's not that bit of a it's not a secret that we're currently working, like Sudowrite's currently working on a new version of the My Voice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that also works, that has like something similar to the My Voice rewrite, that you have that in the current version. And that also works really well if you give it a style sample in the language you want to translate it into this language and have it sound like you, which is quite nice if you're writing not in English, since sometimes tools like rewrite or describe can fall back to giving you English output. And then you just have to highlight it, click this little button, and it rewrites it in your language, in your voice, which is better outcome than if you do it with any other tool that I've translated with so far. I'm really looking forward to this getting out of beta. Or let's say it's more like alpha right now, because it's really nice.
I'm just playing with this to see what it's going to do if I just ask in my extra instruction to translate our content in French and inside the excellent, because we know that Muse doesn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's writing the story.
Yeah, it's probably.
But it's very short. Hold on. Scene, chapter. Yeah, it's translating. Hold on. Did he change the name or something? Isolde to renew a pressing here. And here we have les dernières notes de l'aria, l'étoile, plus puis s'occuper le temps de l'ennemi. It's not far from translation with a bit more, but they just didn't put her name inside it. So that would be scene 1, chapter 1, the curtain. So all the names are not there. So it's translating, but not what we're looking for. So I notice, and might be even better than now she's here. So maybe it's also fixing it at the same time, but then now it's telling stories. Now we have dialogue. Now it's going off track, l'act, savoir. Now he's writing the story. Okay. And it's a short story. I'm going to let it go because it's kind of a good story anyway. Try to play a little bit on how to translate. Yeah, that's what we do, Stephanie. Basically,
Yeah.
you take your chapter or your scene and you ask to not translate or write all the content in the language you want to write it. Then you send it to someone who can read it.
Yep.
There's one thing that I like about writing prose in French, and I don't know about Dalia, but when I write something and I says it's more like Canadian, French Canadian, I put French Canadian. The only place I put it is here in the prose, because if you put it anywhere here, it goes off rail. But if you put it here that you want your prose in a specific French, Parisian, Canadian, Quebecois, whatever, it's actually pretty good into following that.
Yeah, it's also good doing this in German if you want like Swiss German or something.
Yeah.
I usually don't do this since I just speak like German. So, but we tested this in the German class. You can also get like Swiss German or have it sound more like you're from Austria. It gets this really well. At least that much I can judge the differences.
So if I use it with Hindi or other regular regional language in India like Marathi, Gujarati, Punjabi, etc., then it will work. Like we have to test as narrative like author.
There's good chance it will if it read enough of like Punjabi texts on the internet, since essentially it depends on the input that the AI was trained on. That very much influences the quality of the output that you get.
Mm-hmm. So if I understand this Hindi language is basically Hindi, like for me it's French Quebecois or French Canadian, or is Marathi and Gujarat. I cannot see with that little bubble. Gujarati is a totally different language. In style. You mean that style here? Because I can tell you right now, if these are style of India language, which is a derivative of the Hindi, don't put it in the style. Put the main language in the style. Narration style, who understand language? Do you understand what he wants? Local.
Yeah. I think what he means is that the output doesn't give him the style that he wants in the end, and so he has to edit it to sound more like the style he wants. Which is an issue that I also often have with German, that I don't quite get what I want in the style, no matter how I describe it. But something that helps and which is new is that we can give it, at least for draft style examples for Excellent and Muse, in the past, it was only for Muse, but now they added this feature for Excellent. And if you give it a style example, the model is really good at picking up this style and following under this style in the narration.
So if I put write all content in French, Québécois,
Like,
I will not put it in the style box because the style box is for regular language only. If you want something written and in a proper narration, you have to put it here as an extra instruction. And that's the only way that I got it to work.
Yeah.
In
And
the
can you go to the mode and show the little window that's new? Like here, this
Oh, yeah.
style example. If you can put up to 1,000 words. I think it's not actually a hard limit. And you can just put a sample of your style in there, of the way you talk locally, and it will pick on like word choices and language and rhythm and all that if you have this in there. That really helps to give the output your personal flavor.
Yeah.
Contrast to
It's 1,000
like the
words.
standard Hindi, what it might give you.
It's 1,000 words in here.
Yeah. It says 1,000, but you can actually put in more. I haven't found, I think the limit is somewhere around 6,000 to 8,000 because I copied whole short stories in there while I was playing around recently. So it says 1,000, but it doesn't enforce it as harshly. Most chapters have this.
If I can see the difference in the language, and I put at the first person present tense.
Oh yeah, and if you're confused about this little buttons, first person present, this is something that's also currently in beta, what Manon is showing you right now.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if you don't see it in your version of.
And I can tell you right now, this is French québécois. Je fixe mon reflet dans le miroir, puis je vois une étrange.
Yeah, even I can see that that's not French.
So you see, this is I could probably even, because they know a lot of French, so I can probably say it's Montreal French or north of Quebec French. But this is basically they speak fast and they don't use the full words. This is go ahead.
It's just saying that every character has their own speaking language style, and that's something that you can like make clear in your character cards, how a specific character speaks. And you go into characters, I think you have, is it dialogue style, the standards thing that's in there? So many non-standard things in my thing.
You want to share your screen or you want to show something?
I don't have the standard things in mind, so I'm not sure if I can show them.
So you're trying to show something in the character box?
Yeah, just that there is, oh, I can just show him quickly. I don't have characters in my current project since I started a new one that I wanted to play around with, but where is it? Where am I? Just this here. Can you see the screen right now? I hope.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, this is now an empty card. I have a lot more stuff in there than you usually have, but the important thing for the language of your character is this little dialogue style box. This is also there on what's it called? On this in the standard things, because I have mine heavily customized. As you can see, I have a lot more than you usually have. But having something like dialogue style in there or like the language style, you can give every character its own individual language. You can also add something like I'm not sure. Do you remember how many call clauses, like a snippet of dialogue in their style?
Mm-hmm.
Shows their
Example of style of
language
yeah.
style or something. And that way you can individualize the way a character speaks so that the AI can pick up on this and then you don't have to manually edit as much. Okay. I hope this helps a bit. Yes, awesome. Okay. Then I can. Character is deleted. Oh no, bye. Were you finished showing what you wanted to show, Manor? So
Yeah,
that I can just
go
awesome.
ahead, show something.
Then
This
I just
time I'm going to move some of my character and put some speak in French, some speak in English, some speak in German, and some speak in and see what that do to the story.
yeah, awesome. Then we can try it that way while I go through this little stuff that I had prepared for today. What I wanted to show you is like my standard setup for my books when I write a story in German. But we do not have to do this in German. We can try doing this in Hindi and just change our little magic sentence down here, because that's the important thing, is having this in all boxes where you can put it. Since the story barrel boxes are all interconnected, but where they're connected with each other, I think it's easier when I just show you the picture. Give me a moment, I have one. So that it's not, yeah. I show you a little picture. Well, I thought I would show you a little picture. Let's go. Here it is. Why did this not move automatically? Ooh. Like this is the way the boxes are connected to each other. So if you generate your synopsis, it looks at brain dump and genre. And when you generate characters and world building, it looks at synopsis. And for outline, it also looks at synopsis and genre. And to make sure that the stuff that is in your story Bible is generated in your language, since not all boxes are looked at during the generation, I make sure that I have our magic phrase always in style, genre, synopsis, and at the very beginning also in brain dump. Since if you reinforce some information again and again, the AI has an easier time listening to it. It's a bit like a small kid that you have to explain things very often until it listens. And so let's head back to our example. I also, before I forget this, have a little introductory document with which also includes this image so that you can look at it with a little more time, since it can be a bit overwhelming how all the boxes are connected with each other. But usually my workflow is so that I start filling out the boxes in a quite straightforward way from top to bottom, starting with a brain dump. And since this is Pride Month in June, I have prepared a little queer rom-com about an anxious biology student and his ex-boyfriend, who's a local lifeguard poster boy, and both have to work together for some marine center in their hometown. It hopefully will be a bit dramatic and funny when it's done. And I usually put some information about the story and the setting into my brain dump, add which language I want it to be written in. Usually, if I write in German, but for the demonstration, we will do this in Hindi. Therefore, it's very important, Amit, that you tell me if anything that gets generated actually makes sense, since I won't be able to judge it. The genre box is there to tell you, or to tell Sudowrite what kind of story you want to be written, want to write. And I usually also add some information about tone, and if I have special tropes in mind, I would also add stuff like second chance romance. I want some summer vibes. And I also add in the language command. For style, you have the option to use one of the featured styles and add the language command to it. Use the match my style feature, which can also help. If you have something written, you can copy it in here. It will analyze your writing and then output a style description that Sudowrite can use to write in a style that's similar to yours. Or you can just give it some custom style. And aside from the language thing, which is important to have in there, I like to use a standard style that I picked up in a class by Stacey Jones, which is this one. Like the style that it's character-driven, that it uses subtext, entirety, active voice, that we get an intimate first-person POV, it's immersive, you have a subjective viewpoint, and free and direct discourse. Because that's like the kind of stories I like to write and read. So I put this in there. And right now, you would also have to put in whose POV you're writing from. In this case, it would be Noah's POV. But as you've seen in Manon's demonstration, you can also now, or in the not so far future, you can set the POV intents in your outline and in your little draft box. And this hasn't updated yet. We will do this once we get to the writing. It's important to have write out content in Hindi in as many of the boxes, but most importantly now for the synopsis is that it's in here and in here. That when we click generate synopsis, it knows, please write this in Hindi. And if you already, oh, this seems to work. And if you already have a synopsis that you've written yourself, you can, of course, just copy it in. But if you don't have one, it will generate it based on the information you give it in braindump and genre. And now the question, Amit, is, I mean, it looks Hindi to me, but I have no idea to judge if this is good Hindi or not. What do you say?
Proper.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. I mean, usually, of course, you would have to go in and edit this. But for the obvious reason that I have no idea what's actually standing there, I won't be doing this. All I will do, which is important, is to write our content in Hindi also in this box. Since the fact that all this is in Hindi will not be enough for Sudowrite to understand that it has to make characters that are also in Hindi. Sometimes it works, is clever enough to understand this, but more often than not, it will still give you English characters when you're not like really I'm not sure what the best English expression for it, but really enforce it to write in Hindi or German or Italian or whatever language you want to write in. Since I have not many nothing for the characters in mind except that their names are Noah and Jamie, which I hopefully will carry over. I can just hit generate all characters to get my whole cast. But if, for example, you already have characters, you can use import. But with import, there's also the risk that it will give you English content, even if you tell it a dozen times to write not in English. But some of the features aren't perfect yet. Give suggestions. Oh, that's good to know that it gives even name suggestions. I'm curious what it will come up with. Well, this will now take some time. Something that I've noticed when I used it for generating a cast for a story that is set in Germany and is written in German, that I get very cliche German names. And it's usually the same German names over again, which is, I haven't really found a way to get Sudowrite if I use generate all characters and don't have character names in the synopsis to give me fresher names. So I usually make sure that I have the names of the characters that I want to have in there mentioned in the synopsis as I want them to be called. Because while a lot of people in Germany are called Müller, Meyer, or Schmidt, or something like that, which is basically, I think, Miller and Smith. I'm not sure what Meyer is in, something like that in English, but like the standard names. But you'd usually hope that it gets a little bit more innovative. But here we have names, I hope. I'm not sure. But are these proper names for characters? I know he or she is 24 years old, but at least it looks very Hindi to me. 23. And as you can see, it doesn't matter that the traits have English names. It helps if you translate them, but it's not a necessity for it to give you good output. And let's see, 45. I have no idea. Oh, yeah, this is something that occasionally can happen, that you get your odd character with English names in there. But it's just 1 out of 6, I think. But at least I can read that. Aditya Khanna. Oh, I probably pronounced this wrong, but yeah. Principle, but inflexible. Okay, I'm not sure, but keeps a collection of Gandhi's writing on his desk sounds a little bit cliche. That's something you would have to keep an eye on, that it doesn't slip into cliches, because that's a risk with AI always when you're writing about basically non-US English centered stuff. Oh, maybe also with US stuff. But if you would want this to be changed into Hindi, you could also go and have this rewritten and say, translate Hindi. And it would go, but that would be box by box, which is a bit annoying. But since oftentimes it doesn't really bother the AI once you're writing prose, whether you have this cards filled out in English or German or French, Italian. So what you see, it did the translation. I hope the translation makes sense. But since the thing with AI is that technically it has a different understanding about language like we do. I mean, it understands like every language it was trained on, so it doesn't matter what the input language is, as long as you tell it what language you want to have it write in the end. Since I tend to talk in English or German with my ChatGPT, I sometimes get it answers me in a mix of English and German because it gets confused from all the memories it stores and doesn't remember what language I actually wanted to write in. But if you tell it to want a specific language, that usually works regardless of what input you give it. So for consistency, I often prefer it if everything is in one language. And similar to characters, you can have also this world building cards that you can, if you have already something, can import it, or you can also generate elements. Let's go with the setting. And to be on the safe side, I would add write all content in Hindi. Just make sure that it gives the right language. And if you have anything else you know about the setting or any other world building element, you could just put it here into the box. Go. Okay. Since this sometimes takes a little while to generate, are there any questions?
Not so far.
Not so far, good. Oh, yeah, we have a setting. I have no idea what the setting is, but it looks good to me.
I'm trying to get 4 language written in scenes. So it's checking,
Oh.
estimating. I think I'm going to break it.
Yeah. Oh, I think I just found some kind of bug with the
Yeah.
outline.
Mhm.
That's not nice. I'd make a screenshot that I can give someone because I can't read this, but that should be generate outline. Right? Yeah. Because now that I clicked on it, let's look at the next part of the generation, and that's the outline for your story. You have several you can choose from that have different strengths. You can always see here a short description what this novel outline is good at, or the other ones, and examples of stories that follow this outline type, so that you can easily choose something that works well for your story. And something that's also nice is that in this custom outline, you can give it specific instructions of what kind of story you want it to generate for you. If you have like, we're working on a romantic comedy, so we just take romance outline for this project, use this, and then usually you could see this, but yeah, that's a little bug with this theme, I fear. But you have here generate and romance outline, and then you click it, and it would look at all the elements like world building, characters, synopsis, and genre, and create an outline for the whole story. Good. Any questions? Since generating outline always takes a while, so
We have Andy just pop in. Hi, Andy. Do you have any question? No, he doesn't want to write in more than one language at a time.
Oh,
Or you
that's
can get like two language, like someone can speak in French in the dialogue, and someone can speak in a different language, but it's more like English and French, or English and Spanish, English and German. Oh, wait a sec. No, that's Spanish.
no.
So he wrote the whole story in French. Now someone is asking a question in Spanish.
I mean, that's a fun way to write a story.
And I have German too. So try to see if someone's speaking Hindi. So I asked for 4 language. I will show you what I did. So if someone wants to play with it, so I put down one is Hindi, Spanish, German, and the story for some reason is written in French.
Interesting.
Oh, is that almost on the outline?
The outlines, recently it's always taking some time to finish the outlines. They probably switched to a reasoning model that likes to think a bit more. So let's, anything in the chat?
Want to switch the screen? I will show what I did here, and you can tell me if it's German.
Good. But just take a look at the chat. Oh, Ahmed has a question. If already English written project, how can I translate?
Okay. Translate is that's what we answered earlier, but we'll answer again. So just for the fun of it, I did ask in the extra instruction to follow the character language box. That I probably should have deleted because I took that stuff out, but I put down that Isolde is actually Hindi, Lucien Moreau is Spanish, and Liliane Sinclair is German. Just for the fun of what that looked like. So we have the text it's written in French, actually French Québécois. So I guess he kept the language from earlier. And then we have, let's get so that's in French, that's in Spanish. Señorita Devro.
Señorita.
Yeah, so that's
nice.
French. And then we have this.
Mein Gott, Isolde, ich habe dich überall gesucht. Yeah, it's proper German.
So that's
Wer ist dieser Mann? Who's this man? Yeah.
All right. I didn't find anyone in. So that's Spanish again. So if you play with your personage or the language a little bit, you can end up with some interesting information. I tried to see if something is Hindi, because I put down one of them is Hindi, but maybe it doesn't talk in any of those yet. So that's German again.
Yeah.
That's
Du siehst
German.
anders aus.
French,
Oh.
German, French, German. That's German again.
But it's a bit like she always starts with Mein Gott, Isolde. Like all the times I've seen her speak German, it's like, oh no, this time it's just Isolde. Was ist los? What's happening?
I don't
Fun.
see anyone, and that's Spanish. I'd like to see if someone speak the Hindi. Never know. It's like a crackerjack box. Which one is going to have a language coming up. So we have a lot of German, Spanish, and French. The person who's speaking Hindi, I guess he or she went to hide. She's not talking much.
What was their name? Maybe you can search for the character's name who was
That's a good-
speaking in.
But it's not finished writing, it's still writing.
Ah, yeah. So maybe they show up later in the story and
So the
who's the
Hindi
one?
that should be Isolde.
Ah, Isolde.
They put her in French. She's speaking French instead of Hindi. So she's the one who's speaking French. And that's funny enough. Anyway, just to show you how you can play with the language in the extra box. And you can ask also ChatGPT, how should I write the way I want this to be written? So how's your outline? And
It's finished.
what was the question, the chat that I...
If it's already in English, how can I translate this?
Okay.
Was the question. I'll share the outline in the chat. But we can also switch over to, then I can also show how I would translate from, where's my thing? Okay, put the outline in a document and it looks very handy for me. But it looks like this down at the bottom. And the nice thing is you can easily copy the outline with this little copy outline button.
Mhm.
But all chapters are in individual little boxes. And it worked that we got everything in Hindi as far as I can tell. And now let's say you could create this chapter and then we could work in this either with the chapter. No, it's draft. I haven't updated it to chapter to draft yet. Now it was chapter generator, now it's draft. Which now gives you the ability to use style samples. And if you would now want to use this in draft, you would have to generate the scenes or write them yourself. And for write, you could just start using it with auto or guided write, or put instructions into the key details. This would also be the part where you would put, like, write in Punjabi, if you would want to regional dialect. You would put that into the key details for it to be carried over in your writing.
Mhm.
But if we are going for translations, now I have nothing that I
put down in the Dalia, I put down in the chat, there's a few plugin on people trying to use plugin for translation. So you can click
yes.
on the one I put down. It's a list of translation people made plugin to translate. I don't see Hindi in there, but a lot of German, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese.
Yeah, I'll open. Because using those plugins is one way to work.
Mhm.
English to German by our dear Ryan is like the first one on the list. And these are rather simple to set up. I'm just wondering, does he have? Yes, you do something like this. You're a native speaker. Blah, blah, blah. Here's a passage of text. You write this from English to German. And then you do not necessarily have the second stage, but you can also put in a second stage where you describe, where you give this the AI the instruction to rewrite the translation to sound more like it's from a native speaker. If you do not want to set up your own plugin, there's also the possibility to use rewrite to translate this. Like go to customize and say rewrite to translate to Hindi, which should work, and then it would rewrite this to be in Hindi. And you can, oh, I forgot, I think it's like 6,000 words that you can now highlight with rewrite and translate at a time.
It should be, yeah.
Which should work.
How much credit that use, though?
Yeah. Let's see how much credits. I mean, it was 583 credits. It's not that much. It's okay-ish. And it's definitely cheaper than regenerating a trait that you want to have translated.
Yeah.
Yeah. But something else you can do, but that only works with, I think, 1,000 words time, is using quick edit to translate the section. Translate to Hindi. Oh, yeah. And then you get this Hindi version down below. I mean, for obvious reason, I can judge if this one or the other translation is better. But the thing I like a lot about Quick Chat is that in its, let's accept this. That shouldn't have happened. Anyway, so usually it should have replaced the stuff above, but it didn't do it for some reason. Anyway, Quick Chat is free on Quick Edit. So yeah, even if the translation's not that good, you can still use this as a basis and then go and use rewrite or Quick Edit to rewrite it further into your style or whatever you want to do with it. Okay, this is weird.
Unexpected.
I don't know, maybe there's no word for unexpected in Hindi. I don't know. I mean, I'd assume there is one, but we all know that some, or maybe just didn't know the right word. But that's kind of fun. It's like the occasional German word showing up when I read something in English. But yeah, these are like two tools that work quite well for translations. Like this rewrite or quick edit. And for bigger sections, using plugins is quite well. Okay, then. No idea why this didn't know what the right Hindi word for unexpected is. So probably this one's the better translation. I just put here, quick edit. And rewrite. And put this in the chat. And you can, is this questions and contents? Yes. And then you can look at both translations and look what
Which one is best?
is better for you.
We have passed the top of the hour. Do we have any question? So hopefully,
Thanks, Stephanie.
yeah, thanks, Stephanie. Hopefully you learn a little bit. My best way to write in my language is to basically write directly in my language, and I use the same scene to write it in English. Sometimes there's a not that big of a difference sometimes in the story. If everything is exactly the same, your character box, your world building, everything is very, very, very exactly the same, but just the language, the story are so similar. There's barely a difference in my experience.
Yeah,
Sometimes even sounds better than trying to translate it.
that's true. That's true. I also like to use it if I write in both languages, that I just generate it once in German and once in English instead of trying to translate, because usually the content is the same and it just flows better. Since if you translate something, it sometimes wants to stay true to
Word to words.
like this, the wordings too much that don't work that way in English or French.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
like
better to just do
the
it.
language or the slang or the way they do a joke in a different language is not the same
Yeah.
way they do it in
Yeah,
French.
jokes are really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Especially puns with wordplay. That's that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier just to have it in the other language to begin with.
Good. So on this, I want to say thank you to all of you who showed up today. I know it's summer and most of us like to be outside in the sun. So thank you for showing up. Thank you, Stephanie, Andy, Hamid, and for you, Dalia. Thank you again to be with us today to do that. And at the top of the hour, you're getting a small email from Sudowrite to ask you if you like the class and give us your feedback and the stars for Sudowrite to know if we're doing a good job.
Yeah. And I also want to thank all of you, and I want to thank Menor for doing this class with me. And if you have any follow-up questions, you can also drop them into the feedback, because we can read it and we can answer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hop off and then you have this question you really wanted to ask and you just reminded 1 minute late, you have still a chance to just drop it in there as well.
Exactly.
That also helps us to see what we should cover maybe in the next class.
So on this, I will stop the recording. So thank you again and bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Come take a journey, step inside, where stories bloom and hearts collide. From French cafes to Spanish skies, we write the world, no need to hide. Muse is calling loud and clear, in every voice, in every sphere. With Man and Dahlia by your side, let Sudowrite be your magic guide. No borders, no walls, just rhythm and rhyme, writing in every language, one line at a time. From Berlin dreams to Rome's old stone, with Muse in your hands, you're never alone. So dive in deep, let your words be free. This is your global symphony. Custom prompts and secret hacks, we fine-tune Muse and never look back. In German journals or tales in French, we spark